Warning. This episode contains strong language, graphic depictions of violence and death that may be disturbing for some listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey, you true crime freaks and geeks. This is Shelly.
My name is Brandon.
I'm Todd.
And you're listening to A Beer?
Crime?
A tale.
Oh, my.
Oh, it was so perfect. It was so perfect.
It's not, because I'm still opening it.
In true Shelly fashion.
I got it.
In true Shelly fashion.
I was really excited because we didn't tell Todd what to do, and he just did it all on his own.
Yeah.
Shows that he's a true listener because I forced him to listen.
Right. But thank you for joining us on this next episode.
Ooh. This is
Todd
yummy.
is actually Shelly's wife.
I am not her wife. Husband is
Husband.
He's definitely the man in the relationship.
And clearly he is a listener because he just did the intro without us telling him what to do, which is awesome. That's awesome.
I'm very proud of you, babe.
Thank you, honey.
Alrighty.
Anything happen to you guys?
Well, I told you this story that happened to me at work, but I haven't told Todd yet. So for anyone who doesn't know, I think I mentioned like last month I had left my job and I went to a new job. So now I'm back doing security for a retail company. And I get called into the store manager's office and he sits me down. He's like, "We have a very serious problem in our store right now." And I was like, "What's going on?" And he's like, "Someone's going around and depantsing the mannequins." And I'm like, and I'm trying really hard not to start laughing. And I'm like, "Oh." He's like, "Yeah, they just literally went through the whole men's department and pulled down all the pants." I'm like, "Okay." I was like, I'll get on that. And he's like, "The other problem is someone's stealing their hands." I'm like, "Excuse me?" He's like, "They're stealing the mannequin's hands." I'm like, he's like, "I'm running out of hands."
I don't have enough hands for all the mannequins.
And I'm like,
Oh,
okay. I'm like, these are some serious theft issues, I guess. And I just looked at him. I'm like, "Do you guys know if it's like a TikTok trend? Like, are we going to find like a bunch of hands at our door one day?"
Probably. I could
Like,
see that being a TikTok trend.
I could too. And then like literally one day we'll just have like a bag of hands in a JCPenney's bag sitting on the counter.
I mean, it's better than having your hands just disappear forever, I suppose. But
I mean,
It sounds like you should like call up Paul Blart, the mall cop, and have him deal with the situation. This sounds like something he would have to deal with.
I know, because it's kind of like at the very bottom of like my like plans for the day. It's like
to-do list.
my to-do list. Usually it's like, okay, find out what's causing the shrink of the building, look for internals, figure out external
Find
theft,
the missing hands.
find the missing hands, and the depantser,
Yeah,
or the pantser, however people say it.
Deep answer.
it's depantsing. I'm old school.
Well,
We used to do that like throughout junior high, and we would get like expelled. Or not expelled, but like suspended because you like pulled down somebody's pants in the gym or something. But people were doing that all the time when I was in junior high.
Yeah, I never did it to anybody else, but everybody fucking was doing it, you know?
Yeah, that and the cup check.
Oh yeah, I
know.
hate
Yeah.
You're mad now about
bad
it.
memory, yeah.
That memory starts crying. And the swirlies.
So
World turning green.
my oldest
Getting nauseous, sick.
Jay, when he started junior high and they were doing the cup check, he was like really upset because he was like really short, so like he got it done to him all the time. And finally I just looked at him, I said, "You know what, you just need to go in there and start cup checking people before they have a chance to do it to you." That's the kind of parent I was.
Hey, it's like if you're getting bullied, stand up for yourself.
Yeah, that's what I
If
told
you're
him.
gonna get cup check them first. Beat them to the punch.
Yeah, and I think he did. I think he cut. I don't know what I was saying there, but cup check.
Okay. That's a drink. That's a drink.
It is drink. I just took one too. This one's actually really yummy.
Yeah,
It's
so
a
I got
passion fruit
the
coconut.
Corona hard seltzer.
Which one did you get?
I think this is the orange.
Ooh.
And it's pretty good. I wasn't expecting a beer seltzer to be this good, but it is.
Yeah, this one's Malibu Splash, passion fruit and coconut. It's pretty yummy.
Yeah.
So,
What'd you get?
Strawberry and coconut.
Ooh.
So, yeah, it's okay.
it's better than drinking piss, which I had last week. So, you know.
Yeah, I wouldn't drink that. I wouldn't recommend it for anybody.
Not even my enemy.
No.
So, also, just for our listeners, in case they hear an extra laugh, that would be our youngest son, who's 14. He's just our cameraman for the day.
Cameraman right now. He might show up in the next episode. We don't know.
Yeah, he might show up in an episode. We'll see. So, all right. I have a very interesting tale for you all.
I am ready. We haven't recorded in like a week. I'm ready.
It's not a week to these listeners, but it's a week for us. So,
Yeah.
But this is the story of William Devin Howell, and he gave himself his own nickname.
That's how you do it.
He was like, "I'm going to call myself the Sick Reaper."
Now, was that his killer nickname?
That's
or
what
was
he
that-
nicknamed himself as a killer.
I was gonna say this isn't like his like high school nickname.
No, nope. He purposely was like, "I'm going to give myself a nickname." Oh, you'll see. He just gave himself his.
That in high school would be like called school shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want that.
Yeah.
You don't want
For
a high
those
school
that didn't
name like
hear
that.
him, he said that if he gave himself a nickname like that, he'd be like a school shooter. And
Oh
yeah, you're right.
That would be.
That's not. Yeah.
Wouldn't want to be his friend.
No, nobody would.
No.
So, okay. So let's dive into the beginnings of Mr. William Devin Howell. So he was born February 11th, 1970 in Hampton, Virginia. He was the youngest of 4 sons. And there was this like huge age gap between the 2 older brothers and himself. It was like 20 years. So yeah, he was like definitely an oopsie kid.
Gotcha.
Like, I'm guessing they were probably like, "We're done." And then it's like, "Nope, no, you're not." So Howell would go by either Bill or Devin. And later in life, he did put Devin, like he tattooed it on his arm. So
Oh.
yeah, he really liked his middle name, I guess. His brothers said that their parents indulged him since he was the baby. And he had a good childhood. His parents were supportive and loving. And
See, that's a shocker because like all of the stories that we've covered, it's always been their childhood has been horrible.
Environment.
Yeah.
yeah.
And so this, I'm interested in seeing where this goes.
Well, you don't have to wait long. Okay.
Okay.
So when he was 12, his mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. And she was in her early 50s at this time, and she just had a very, very difficult battle. And he didn't deal with this well because she was supportive and loving and took care of, she was the main person that took care of him. Not that dad wasn't. He just wasn't, he didn't do the scheduling. He didn't feed.
Right.
He was just, he went to work, came home, probably
Was
cracked
there.
open a bear, that kind of thing. Not a
bear. Cracked open a bear. Man, I'd hate to have a dad like that.
Tough SOB.
Just go to work, come home, crack open a bear, normal day.
That bear was fucking with me. Wait a minute, is it okay to F-bomb?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Oh my goodness. Thank
Oh my
you.
He's
God.
like, oh, thank God. This is amazing. I can use it whenever I want.
I've already messed up twice. So,
I wouldn't survive this podcast if I couldn't cuss. Like,
Oh, no.
It would be horrible.
Like when we post these, we have to put that it's like 18 years old or older because it's not for younger ages.
As
So
our
if your 12-year-old is
14-year-old.
listening right now, no, kick it off. This is not a family-friendly podcast.
This is terrible because my 14-year-old sitting across from this is our parenting. Sorry. But
just cover your ears, buddy.
just so you all know, we've already raised 3 others. They're all normal, healthy American citizens.
Yes, they
So-
have all heard me cuss as well.
Yeah,
so.
they're fine. So, but we'll move on to Mr. Bill. So, like I said, Mom has breast cancer, and she's having a really hard time. So when he was 14, he stole his father's car and drove to Newport News. So they're living in Connecticut. Newport News, it's all in the Connecticut area. he found himself a prostitute. Or no, he's in Virginia at this point, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. So Newport News, I think, is in Virginia. It gets kind of confusing because I don't know the East Coast at all. But I think like Virginia is not far from Connecticut, and they're all like, I don't know, whatever.
Yep. Okay.
They're all up there. So he steals the car, goes to Newport News, and he finds himself a prostitute.
As one would.
Yeah, at 14 years old. Right, Logan?
Oh, wow. This guy was 14?
I don't routinely do that. I don't exactly do that on the regular. I don't just like leave school, get $20 and buy myself a prostitute.
You think
Why
you could buy
not?
a prostitute for $20?
Cheap prostitute there. I would not want nothing to do with that.
No. You'll give her $20. She'll give you something else.
A couple of something else's.
Yeah.
Give me some herpes.
All right. So he gets himself a prostitute, and he enjoys this so much that it becomes an addiction for him that he has to literally leave in the middle of the night all the time to go get himself a prostitute.
Get a $20 prostitute.
So his mom's like dying of breast cancer and he's like buying prostitutes?
Yes. And I think you should just like turn on that mic so people can hear you over there. But yeah, his mom is dying. It's one of those things where they actually think it's a coping mechanism for his mom's illness. He's substituting it with something else kind of thing. So yeah, it was a coping mechanism, basically, is what they said for his mom's illness.
Gotcha.
And thank you, Brandon, for miking my kid up.
Yeah, no problem. I got you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
So when Howell was 15, that's when his mom succumbed to the cancer. And he added to his coping mechanisms by starting to drink every day. So now he's addicted to alcohol, literally to the point that he has to start his school day by drinking.
Jesus.
Yeah.
How old?
Alcohol
15,
by day,
14?
prostitute by night.
Hey.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what he was doing.
So he's getting like, instead of like pouring milk in his cereal, he's pouring like whiskey.
Yes, of course.
Well-rounded diet.
Yeah. Frosted Flakes and whiskey. I don't even,
Just
that
the
doesn't even
champions.
sound.
And serial
Just
killers.
sounds like
They're great.
your liver won't be great.
Yeah. There's going to be shot.
But so he was 15 when this happened. He does get his driver's license, but he only has his driver's license for a year and a half when he got into a drunk driving accident and lost it.
Knew
I would
that
have
was
never
coming.
guessed that at all. I did
knew
not
that was
foresee
coming.
that coming.
So, and like Todd said, beside the alcohol, Howell also realizes that he's addicted to sex. So, yeah, he's got a lot going for him. And by the time he is a senior, he decides he's going to drop out of school. And
Just his last year of high school.
yeah, he just drops out.
Makes sense.
He did during this time have a high school girlfriend, and he has 2 children with her. I don't know anything else about the girlfriend or the kids. I just know that this happened in his life.
Right.
He was a dad and had 2 kids.
Yes. Now, Howell lumps women into 2 categories: the good girls and the bad girls.
Are we talking about like bad girl? Like Todd's a bad girl.
Yes.
Or like, okay,
Yes.
Okay.
Did you just say Todd's a bad girl?
maybe.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So the good girls were women like his mom and the mother of his children. So he considered both of them good girls. These were women who didn't drink, they didn't do drugs, they cared for their families. Bad girls were the prostitutes. These were the women that were selling themselves for drugs or money, women who Howell described as spreading diseases to their husbands and boyfriends, and women who made him feel discontent.
This sounds like he's
Wow.
like angry because some prostitute gave him crabs and herpes or something.
Yes.
I don't know. We'll get to. I literally don't know. Wouldn't surprise me because, yeah. So most people who met Howell really actually liked him. They considered him a gentle giant because he was a rather big dude. But he was in and out of jail throughout his 20s and 30s. He was arrested and spent time in jail in Virginia, Georgia, and New Jersey.
Jesus.
Yep.
Slow learner.
Yeah, he was. His crimes ranged from like petty pot smoking offenses to larceny and burglary, and to driving on a suspended license, obviously, because he didn't have a license. So
He's a bad boy.
yep. So he still had his sex addiction to deal with, and so he would be doing odd jobs just to earn $20, like Logan said,
Oh my god.
Wow.
so that he could get a prostitute for the night. So he was getting
$20 prostitute.
Yep.
If he doesn't already have like syphilis and stuff, I don't know.
I quit.
Wait till you find this next fact out. So when he was 30, he estimated that he had probably slept with over 1,000 women.
What?
Yeah.
Jesus.
That's a lot of
You
prostitutes.
get, like,
How did his
trophies for
wiener not fall off
I don't know.
and like rot away?
But if you think about this, at $20,
Like it's acidy.
Yeah.
that? It's like a shriveled up raisin at this point.
At some point, he'd be like, the Willie should just tap out and say no more.
Looking like a dried up like jalapeno or
Just can't
chili
take
pepper.
it anymore.
so I think about this: $20 a pop, 1,000 women. That's $20,000 he spent on prostitutes.
Question is, was there like a special like one day where it's like 2 for $20?
I don't
Or
know.
like
It's a good question. I didn't ask. I didn't have anyone to ask.
you have connections.
I don't.
You got
Sadly.
connections.
So I have no prostitute connection, so I don't have any
So
answers.
you
Sorry.
can't find out if there's any like 2-for-1 specials.
No
at all.
2 for Tuesday.
2 for Tuesday. No.
2 for 20 Tuesday.
Oh boy. No, I have no idea. I didn't ask. So in 2002, Howell got a job with Benco Roofing in Torrington, Connecticut. He was able to afford a $400 Ford Econoline. I knew I was going to mess it up when I saw it. It is Econoline van, and he bought it off of. I should just drink for going in the beginning.
Yes, that's a drink. Okay.
Okay,
Follow the rules, Dad.
What's
follow.
that?
You have to follow
Yeah.
the rules. Yeah,
Follow
come
the
on.
rules.
What are the rules? What did I miss?
Every time
Every
somebody
time I mess up,
somebody messes up their words
Oh.
and slurs or whatever, you have to take a drink.
Got it.
which it's an episode by me, so you'll be drunk by the end.
I'm exempt from this.
That is true. You are. So,
We do not promote underage drinking.
yeah, he's drinking water, so like a good 14-year-old. He doesn't have a prostitute either, so we're fine. So he buys this van off of his ex-girlfriend's mother, and the van was literally a piece of shit.
Of course.
It is like the epic piece of shit. It has blue and black panels that are like literally piecing the van together. The front end is like
I mean, he was
trashed.
spending his money on $20 hookers. Like,
right.
yeah, he's not gonna buy an expensive van.
No. Well, and the back windows, they were busted out and covered with plywood.
I legit
Plywood?
was gonna bring up plywood. Like I was like, does it like get to that point where you're like smacking wood on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Probably like taped together with like duct tape. And
you
stuff.
can make some
Yeah.
shelves in there.
He actually did have shelves in there. That's not even like a lie. I mean, it is like the epic, like if it drove by, everybody like, oh fuck, that's a kidnapper van.
Classic Econoline.
Yeah.
Keep your kids away.
Yeah, I literally
Boarded
wrote
up back windows, the whole 9
Do not
yards.
take candy.
This
I
thing
literally
is like
wrote-
prepped and ready to go.
I wrote in my notes, hide your children, hide your wives kind of van.
Yeah.
Hide your children, hide your wives, and hide your husbands.
He has everything but free candy written on the side of the van.
You know what? He probably did, and I just didn't see it. I don't know.
Lollipops.
Ice cream cones.
Yeah.
Oh no. So during the winter, he lost his apartment. So he would sometimes stay with his girlfriend, Dorothy Holcomb, or he would sleep in the van. He got permission from his boss to park and sleep in the parking lot. His boss said he was such a good worker and had a wonderful personality, so he didn't see any issues with allowing Howell to use his parking lot. Howell would sleep in the lots, like within this area, for 8 months. And that is when he started fantasizing about raping women.
Oh, no.
That's not a very good fantasy to have.
No.
So in February of 2003, Howell picked up Melanie Ruth Camellini. I'm so proud of myself.
How is he picking up women in this van?
Because
Is he
It's
taking
gotta
a
be.
shower in between? Like
It's got to be
8
a
months.
prostitute.
well, he still has a girlfriend, so I think he's going there, showering, cleaning up.
So he doesn't smell like a person that's been homeless for 8 months.
Right.
And living in the back of his...
And he does have a boss that actually really likes him, so it's a roofing company, so I'm sure they probably have some kind of bathroom or something that he can clean up in. So Melanie came from a family that actually really loved and supported her, and she was an accomplished pianist.
Pianist? I'll go with that.
Pianist.
Yeah, it's a pianist.
Pianist.
It's a pianist.
Pianist.
God, I don't like that word.
Say that 5 times
Sounds like
fast.
somebody's taking a drug test. Can you pee in this?
Oh,
Say it 5 times fast. Say it 5 times fast.
Pianist.
It sounds like pee in this or penis. Like,
okay. I'm going with pianist because it sounds like
Correct.
So she was an accomplished pianist. But at some point in her life, she became addicted to opiates. Melanie had 2 kids, and her family said no matter what was going on in her life, even when she was addicted, she would always reach out to her children because she wanted to be a good mother. She just couldn't, get past this addiction. It wasn't unusual for her to be gone for months or weeks at a time. But during that time, she would always call to speak to her kids, and it usually would only be like a day or 2. Gotcha. Howell picks up Melanie to pay for sex. However, he decides that she would be the first prostitute he's going to rape.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Earlier in the day, he had gone to a hardware store. He had bought the supplies he would need to carry out the rape. So he bought duct tape, rope, any weapons he might have to potentially kill her with.
Jesus.
Yeah.
How does someone come to the decision that...
Like a prostitute at that. Like somebody who's willing to have sex for money, but you're wanting to rape her.
Right. I don't know.
That doesn't make
judging
sense
by
to
his,
me.
philosophy, he said, good girls and bad girls. So evidently, I don't know, maybe he just believes that bad girls need to...
Right. Right. And I guess
to
you said earlier on that he fantasized about raping women. So maybe he's got this thing for that instead of just, paying a prostitute to have sex. He wants
I don't know.
control. I don't know.
I think it's
Something.
weird because you could technically pay the prostitute and be like, hey, can you pretend I'm raping you? And you wouldn't have to actually,
Right.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
role play stuff he could have
Yeah.
done with,
without it ever having to get to this point.
the violent. Yeah.
So he has all the supplies to do this, and Howell drives Melanie to a secluded parking lot and rapes her. He then ties her up in the van, and he would rape her throughout the next 12 hours.
Jesus.
Yeah. Howell knew that she was going to go to the police. So he also knew that because of this, he was going to have to kill her. So he picks up a hammer and hits her as hard as he can in the head. It didn't kill her. It didn't even knock her out.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Instead, it caused Melanie to beg for her life. She told him that she had 2 kids. And at that point, Howell was like, I just didn't have the heart to hit her in the head again. So he chose to strangle her instead.
I thought you were going to say he was going to let her go, but...
Yeah,
Nope.
I was hoping that good, quote unquote.
Yeah, no.
Situation.
He strangles her. So he wanted to bury her in the state park, but there was a small problem with his plan. The ground was still frozen because it's February. So for the next 2 weeks, he drove around with Melanie's body wrapped in a blanket in his van.
Jesus.
And he actually slept next to her body.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah,
Did no
it's
one
mental.
notice the smell or what?
Well, it's winter, so I'm not thinking
Oh,
that it's
yeah.
going to really produce a huge...
Well, this guy, for like preparing ahead of time for this freaking event, was not very prepared ahead of time.
No, he wasn't.
He didn't even realize the ground's frozen, you know, or
Yeah, I think he was in the heat of the moment, and like before it actually happened, he had a game plan, and then it all fell apart. Like he was,
Yep.
he ended up strangling her instead of using the weapons that he purchased to kill her with, and now he can't. And I don't know like how bad a body would be in that 2-week span in a vehicle. I think you know there's rigor mortis and a bunch of other stuff, but like I don't think her body would decompose at that point. So I don't think it would smell. I don't know.
I think the cold weather would kind of slow it down, but he's also wrapped it in a blanket, which is
Right. But he's also in a car.
yeah.
So it's insulated, and I'm sure he's not going to be sitting in a cold car.
yeah,
as
he's
well.
not going to freeze to death, so you know it's
Right.
not 40, 30 degrees inside the van.
Right.
Yeah.
He probably has a heater or something to
I think if it's
not
I think
die.
since the body's wrapped in a blanket, it's probably going to keep some of the major the decomposition smells.
Cheers.
Yeah, that's definitely a drinker there.
The decomposition smells like at a minimum, I'm assuming.
Also, like if we look at like Egyptian mummies, for instance, you see that they wrap them up in like linen and stuff. So
Right.
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 so it could potentially slow the decomposition, wrapping it up in a blanket.
Yeah.
So also during these 2 weeks, Howell began to panic while he's driving around with Melanie's body. He's panicking that she's going to end up being identified. So he cuts off her fingertips and starts pulling out some of her teeth.
He's going to set her on fire.
No, stop trying to predict things. And you lost your crown. You threw it on the ground. It's gone.
I'm going to get it back.
He decides that pulling out her teeth just kind of becomes a moot point because he knows the police are going to figure out who she is anyways. So he takes the fingertips and the teeth, puts them in a grocery bag, and then throws them in the trash can at the Family Dollar store. Once the ground thaws out, Howell finds a wooded area off of a parking lot behind a mall and a McDonald's in New Britain, Connecticut. He digs a shallow grave about 3 or 4 inches below the ground and puts her in that grave.
Any sort of rain would just...
Yeah, 3
Wash
inches.
away.
You would
Yeah.
think that the body would be deeper than.
Yeah.
So this wooded area is not like... So you have to go along the guardrail because I watched like a documentary. So there's this guardrail and then there's like this path that goes down in there and there's like a ravine. So it's not where he buried the bodies. It's not like super easy. It's not like an area that a lot of people are going to frequent.
Okay. So he's kind of just stashing the body real quick. He's not.
Yeah.
He's not trying to hide the body, but he's not trying to like have everybody look at it every time they walk by.
Not like chucking it in front of the McDonald's or something.
Right. Oh, you have no idea how much this McDonald's is going to come into play. So,
Oh
God,
no.
I don't want to have someone like try to get a Big Mac and they just see like this dead woman.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
oh my God.
I'm loving it.
So, Connecticut had the death penalty during this time. So Howell thought that he had nothing left to lose. So he's already killed one person. He's already raped one person. So he's like, it really doesn't matter anymore. I've already crossed this line.
I'm gonna get the max sentence anyways. I might as well just keep going.
That's exactly what he thought. So his next victim was Marilyn Gonzalez. She was another mother of 2, and she was living with her own mother at this time. She also had a drug addiction and was walking the streets of Waterbury in May of 2003, looking for a way to get her fix when Howell picked her up. He knew that he was going to rape and murder her, and he did the exact same thing he did with Melanie. He tied her to the bench of his van, duct taped her mouth, and raped her for off and on for 12 hours, and then eventually strangled her.
He didn't use the weapon this time.
No, he never uses it again because
He's too scared.
yeah, he didn't like it.
I do wonder why serial killers kind of just like develop this whole routine with each and every murder they do.
Because
Right.
it worked the first time. And then you get comfortable with it, kind of thing.
That's how shoplifters are.
Yes, that's exactly how shoplifters are, weirdly.
They go in and they go pick up an item, go to the automotive department or something, and it's an area where it's enclosed and they feel safe. They steal, they leave, and they're like, wow, I got away with it. I'm going to go back and do it again.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about shoplifters is that they will literally shoplift almost at the exact same time every single time.
Yeah.
So if they are comfortable with like stealing between 3 and 4 p.m., you can almost guarantee they're going to walk in the doors between 3 and 4 p.m.
We've done it multiple times.
Yep.
Not steal, but like caught them.
Yeah. So he then takes her body to the same wooded area behind the strip mall. Howell pushes her body down into the ravine. Then he drives his van, which he started referring to as the murder mobile.
This is not the Batmobile.
He's not very good at coming up with
These are
names.
like,
No,
this
he's
is like
not.
the bad version of the Batmobile.
What was his name that he came up with for him? What did he name himself?
He
was better off with Howell, I know that.
Like he had like some stupid like edgy emo
Reaper.
name.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Something Reaper.
yeah, it was like the sick
Look
sick
at me, I'm a
reaper.
tough guy kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And he gave it to himself. He wasn't even nicknamed it.
Yeah.
Nope.
So I mean, like,
Didn't even earn it.
yeah.
All right, so keep in mind he now has given himself a nickname. He has the murder mobile. And he drives this murder mobile to the McDonald's parking lot and he leaves it there. And then that way he can walk down to the ravine to the body. But before he does that, he retrieves a shovel that he has hid along the guardrail. And he buries her body in a shallow grave near Melanie's. He started calling this wooded area his garden.
Oh, no.
It's crazy. Yeah, he's already leaving like tools and shit. Like,
Yep.
Next to the graveyard.
It
so he
just
can-
takes one person to walk by to blow his entire...
Yeah, especially at a McDonald's. Like,
Preferably sooner than later.
Yeah, hopefully.
I'm not going to lie. If I was at a McDonald's drive-thru and some guy is carrying a shovel over by the woods, I would probably call the police. I'd be like, what the hell is this dude
Oh, yeah,
doing? Like,
for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know how he got away with as much as he does.
I don't
So
know what's going on in Connecticut where they just like commonly have people walking around with shovels by McDonald's, but
Yeah. Heading into the woods.
Yeah.
I think that's probably why he left the shovel there, because it looked weird while he was walking to the woods.
Yeah.
Well, hang on. So after burying the body, he would hide the shovel again so no one would see him carrying anything in and out of the woods. So he walks up the ravine, hides it by the guardrail, and then walks out of the woods. This routine and garden would be how Howell, gosh, I was an idiot for typing it that way.
How?
How Howell would dispose of all of his victims.
All of his victims. There's
Yep.
more.
Oh, yeah. So Melanie's family had reported her missing in April, and Marilyn's mother would report her missing 2 weeks after her murder. The problem was both these women were known to disappear for periods of time, and they were also known to have drug addictions, and they were also known as prostitutes. So the police just really didn't dig
They
deep
didn't
into
even
their...
care.
Yeah, no. So Howell's third victim was Danny What's-not? Yeah. What's-not?
Danny as in a girl, Danny?
Hang on.
Is that a drinker?
So he was a transgender woman who now went by the name of Janice Roberts.
Okay.
Howell picked her up at a Stop and Shop in Wethersfield on June 18th. He paid Janice $20 for a blowjob, but when he gripped Janice's head, her wig came off in his hand. Howell said he went into like a rage. How dare she trick him into thinking she was a woman and strangled her?
Wow.
Yeah. He said that he had no intentions of raping or murdering anyone that night, but killed her just because she was a man.
Jesus.
Yep. He buried Janice in his garden with the other victims. So that was the only like spur of the moment kind of killing. The rest he
Planned ahead of time. And
plans ahead of time.
Gotcha.
So
poorly,
yeah.
mind it.
So Janice, he never planned on ever murdering her. Howell's next victim was Diane Kuzak. She was known by police because of a dispute that she was going through with her landlord.
Landlord.
Lord.
Lord of the land.
I don't know why.
Drink in my
I
mouth.
don't know why I thought I needed to be a very bad British person when I said that.
That was horrible.
Landlord.
Don't do that again.
So Her last known contact with anyone was around July 9th, and that was with the police. She was never reported missing by her family because she was estranged from them. Howell picked her up in New Britain, held her captive for the 12 hours, raping her off and on during that time, and then drove her to McDonald's near his garden and strangled her to death in that parking lot.
Oh, so he's just getting closer and closer to the...
Yep. Her body was recovered in the garden in 2007, but remained unidentified until 2011. So
They only found her body, not the others?
we're not that far. Stop it.
Yeah, she just kind of went really far into the future.
I did.
And then came right back. So
Got it.
I understand your confusion. Because I was asking the same question in my head.
Well, it was just because it was trying to correlate the fact that her family never reports her missing. So she was one of the last ones to be identified because...
There wasn't nobody to call and be concerned about her.
Correct.
I swear to God, some poor schmuck's gonna be ordering like a Big Mac and fries, and he's gonna see this dude, strangling a chick.
I would
Like,
I would probably ram my vehicle into their van.
Yeah.
That seems like the quickest result that you're gonna get when you're seeing somebody strangle somebody. Because you might be too late just walking up and beating on the door, calling the cops. Just ram your vehicle into theirs.
So Howell had a comfort zone established with this McDonald's. He would strangle multiple victims there. And he would do that by turning music up so loud no one would hear them scream. He would also sometimes take them through the drive-thru while they were tied up and order food. And
Shut up.
No. And then he would ask them if they wanted anything to eat.
Wow.
Yeah, he's an ass.
Jesus. How do the employees not think anything suspicious?
They can't see through the plywood on his windows.
Right, but they're like, this vehicle is here every day.
Good point.
It's making me feel uncomfortable. It looks like, a van that's a Frankenstein van,
Right.
yeah, it's like barely held together. It's
Yeah.
like literally like.
Well, he comes
I would be
off,
uncomfortable just trying to get to my car after work.
He comes off as a very nice person.
That's how they all are.
Yeah. So I don't think anybody really suspected anything.
But also the whole thing with like him blaring his music was.
Yeah, I don't
you'd
like
still
that
think
part.
as well. You'd hear some of the screams even if they were.
Yeah, you would think that would make your
He-
van stand out like a sore
He
thumb.
duct tapes their mouth shut. So it's going to be muffled screams. So,
What kind of music?
I don't know. It didn't say.
We're
Screamo
not
music?
gonna take it.
Oh my gosh. I don't think that's probably didn't.
Take it.
Okay.
We'll skip that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Edit, please.
No, there ain't no edits.
Nope.
This is
You're
live.
screwed. Good luck. On July 25th, Nilsa. Okay, I am going to destroy this poor woman's name, and I'm very, very sorry. Arizmendi.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
I
just calling
finished.
her. I'm just calling her Nilsa from now on because
Okay.
that's just a lot easier. So her and her boyfriend Angel Sanchez were needing to purchase drugs. They were living near the Almar Hotel, which is near the Berlin Turnpike, which is kind of where the strip mall and all that stuff is located.
Okay.
Their relationship consisted of Nilsa and Angel walking up and down the turnpike all the way down to New Britain, and Angel would basically pimp her out for drugs because they had that kind of relationship.
Okay.
However, during this time, Nilsa had a drug connection. So the two of them met up with their friend, Bill Howell, at a grocery store parking lot. Howell had partied in their hotel room, had gotten high with them before, so Nilsa was fine with getting into his van. This was also the last time Angel would see her.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Now, what's super weird about this is Angel never reports her missing.
What?
What? Is
Yeah.
that the pimp?
That's the pimp boyfriend, yeah. Now, her sister does because she can't get a hold of her. And police immediately suspect Angel because they're like,
Yeah.
why did you not report her missing? They know they've been having domestic disputes.
Yeah.
But Angel's like, hey, I'll take a polygraph test. And he passes it, obviously, because he didn't do it. Yeah.
But he knew who she went with.
Right. And Angel gives that information to the police. And he's told them everything he knew about Howell, which included the description of the Franken van.
What? Oh, it's game over.
I hope.
The stories are never like this, but I hope it's game over.
Yeah,
it's crazy that these things go on for as long as they do.
Oh, I know.
Like insane.
It's like, how many vans look like that?
Like how many people are buried behind McDonald's parking lot at this point? You know?
Yeah.
Right. So they were able to find the van because it's a two-tone plywood piece of shit.
I mean, that's like, you know, this isn't like trying to pick a needle out of a haystack. It's kind of like picking a boulder out of a haystack.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So they trace the plates back to Howell's girlfriend, Dorothy. And when the police come to talk to Dorothy about the van, she just basically acts stupid. She's like, Howell never drove that van. She doesn't know where he's at. And the police could literally see him through the window.
Jeez.
Yeah, no
Probably
kidding.
like ordering a Big Mac or something.
Yeah, his dumb ass is literally peeking through the curtains. And they're just like, yeah, who's that dude over there? And she's like, I don't know. Some other male friend of mine drives that van and Howell never drives it.
Wow.
Yeah.
She's defending him.
Yep.
She doesn't know what's going on.
So at this point, you would think that, you know, with the police looking into the van and Nilsa's death, that Howell would just completely stop killing, right? Nope.
Nope. Never does.
Nope, he didn't. In August, he found Mary Jane Menard. Now, she was also a mother of two. Mary Jane used to be an alcoholic, but she had been sober for 10 years, and she became a substance abuse counselor so she could help other people like her. But then she had back surgery, and she was prescribed opiates for her chronic back pain.
There it is.
And like a lot of people that get addicted to the opiates, the medicine just doesn't, you know, help with the pain anymore.
Yeah, I've seen it happen to lots of people.
Yep. So she chooses to start using heroin to mask the pain. And she went out to get cigarettes, and Howell would pick her up. And he did his regular routine. He raped her, held her captive, strangled her. Howell's last victim was Joveline Martinez, and she was a former track star who also unfortunately got into drugs. And he picked her up in Hartford, Connecticut. And he went through the usual routine of rape, murder, then burying her in his garden. When she failed to show up for her birthday party that her mom threw her, she reported her missing in October. Now, police are still working to solve Nilsa's disappearance during this whole time that he's still killing people. And Howell actually did have an interview with the police, and he does admit that he gives Nilsa a ride. And the problem is he was like, yeah, I gave her a ride, and I just let her off on the side of the road, further down the road.
Okay.
Yeah, they didn't believe him.
I mean,
Yeah.
also, Connecticut's not a big state. I mean, it's not like...
It's not.
It's like, you know, I mean, like, it can't have more than, like, 2 million people in it. I mean, you can't imagine, like, a ton of missing people, you know, constantly popping up over the course of, like, only a couple months.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, all with similar cases around them.
Weird.
So they didn't believe his story, and they kind of had this strong suspicion he had something to do with it. And they were able to get a search warrant for the van. Police could tell that Howell had tried to clean the van, but despite his efforts, they were able to find Nilsa's blood in the van. Howell refused to admit that he had anything to do with that blood. He claimed that Nilsa and Angel had fought in the back of the van, and Angel had hit her, drawing blood. Problem was, police also found blood of other unknown victims in the van. And this...
Yeah, did you have one big cat brawl in the back of your van?
Right.
Like, no.
Yeah, they're pretty good about finding that DNA and stuff, you know.
Yeah. So this, of course, raises concerns because they're like, okay, why is there multiple blood splatter of various people in your vehicle?
Right.
So they did end up charging Howell with murder. And while the trial was pending, Howell pleads down to manslaughter. Now, keep in mind that no one has found Nilsa's body, and Howell didn't want that to happen, obviously, because then they would find all the bodies. So that's why he pleads down. He's like, look, I'll admit guilt if, we plead this down to manslaughter.
How is he gonna?
Which doesn't have a life sentence, I'm guessing.
Right. He was sentenced to 15 years in 2005.
But yeah, also, how are you gonna be like? How are you gonna get your way into a manslaughter case with that? Like, you'd think, how are you gonna find your story?
So there's no body. So the police can never prove at this point that she's murdered. All they can prove is he's got blood in her vehicle. That's it. That's all they can prove. So it's pretty easy to go into court and say, hey, I'll plead guilty to manslaughter because there's no body. So you don't know what the hell happened to her, kind of thing.
Right.
Well, I mean, the cops are positive. They know that he murdered her, but they just
don't have enough evidence.
Right.
To get a murder conviction, but they can plead down for manslaughter.
So that's the end of the story. He gets 15 years.
What? That's
that can't be the end of it. That was only for one murder. There's still like
we're about to fight you.
Yeah,
oh my gosh,
we're gonna fight you.
Yeah.
She said it gets mention all the bodies like they started getting found 2010, 2011. So
2007.
2007, yes.
So
he's in jail. No. 2005. So in 2007, you guys are right. A hunter and his dog were wandering around.
Did they try to find did they have any Big Macs?
I don't know. He might have.
For some reason, I thought you were gonna say Bigfoot.
I thought he was gonna say Bigfoot too.
Did they find any Bigfoots?
That would be epic ending to an epic story.
They saw a Bigfoot sniffing up an area.
So they found Bigfoot digging through the graves, getting his brunch.
He's just like, this is terrible. You're a morbid child. Okay. So the hunter and his dog, they're wandering around the woods near the strip mall and McDonald's, and they see a human bone sticking up out of the ground. He calls the police, and they start excavating the scene. They find 3 of the skeletons. The police send the bodies back to the crime lad.
Crime lad.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's probably 2 drinks.
I ran out of my drink. Thanks, Shelly. I'm
pretty sure.
Oops. So they send it to the crime lab, but these guys, for some reason, were a bunch of failures and kept making mistakes.
Oh, no.
I'm not kidding.
The lab?
The lab. They weren't able to identify these bodies until 2014.
Jesus.
Wow.
I don't know how long it usually takes.
I'm not sure, but
you'd think you'd be able to use DNA evidence to at least.
You would think, especially since most of these women had, children.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be that difficult. So those 3 bodies were Diane Kuzak, Mary Jane Menard, and Joveline Martinez. Now, the police wanted to keep excavating the area to look for more victims, but they had no idea where to start because this is huge, the area.
The garden is huge?
Garden is huge. Yeah, he
didn't do one. More bodies.
He did, but he didn't do it as one mass grave. He kind of there's a map. Hopefully, we'll put a picture on Instagram. But there's a map where
I'll put it up right now. If you're watching this on YouTube, we'll put it up.
But if you see, he kind of grouped them in 2s, so it wasn't one giant mass grave. So they want to keep excavating. They just don't know where to start. Meanwhile, in prison, Howell and his cellmate Jonathan Mills are playing cards. Now, the police in Connecticut put faces of missing people on the back of playing cards in the hopes that inmates might see someone and be able to say what happened to them. So this technique has worked really well because a lot of inmates have wanted to lessen their time, and they'll call the number on the cards to help solve cold cases.
So like putting somebody on the back of a milk crate or a milk carton. That's actually kind of genius.
It really is.
And all the prisoners are going to want to play cards,
Yeah.
What else is there to do besides play cards?
Right. So it works out really well. So Howell and Mills are playing cards when Joveline's face shows up on the back of one of the cards. Howell tells Mills, I know her. I know where she is. And then he starts bragging about all the murders to his cellmate. Literally every last detail.
Rocket scientist.
He is.
Gotta love them guys.
Yep.
He's got like 12-digit IQ.
So Mills calls the number on the back of Joveline's card and sets up an interview with the detectives so he can tell them everything that Howell said. Howell told him so much that he was actually able to draw the diagram as to where all the bodies were and who was buried with who. And Mills wasn't even from that area, so he just went off the details from his confession. So, like, he's saying, here's the guardrail, and this is where these bodies are.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this guy probably got out of jail, like...
I have no idea. I didn't look it up.
It's like a Monopoly.
You've paid your pittance, you're free.
So
Monopoly get jail free card.
the strip mall wasn't there anymore, but because it was a supermarket now. But on April 28th, 2015, the police were able to use the map to figure out the location of all the bodies. And that's when they started using DNA from the bodies and able to link the victims also to their families and to Howell's van. Yay.
Yay. Finally.
Yeah. Howell finally admitted to murdering Nilsa after being presented with the evidence. He also pled guilty to all 6 murders on November 17th, 2017. And will be serving 6 consecutive life sentences.
Yes. I agree with this.
But did they cancel they didn't have the death penalty anymore?
The death penalty disappeared in 2015. So why do you think he was okay confessing everything? He sat in jail for 10 years, never said a damn thing. But as soon as the death penalty is gone, he's like, well,
yeah,
I can admit to everything.
I have so much faith in karma, but sometimes it just doesn't.
And they didn't bring it back to
deliver.
And here's the fucked up thing.
He just wants to leech money off the Connecticut and stuff.
Yeah. So he knows the death penalty is off the table, and this is what he says in court. He literally started crying, and he told the families that he deserved the death penalty. But he, there was nothing he could do. He was just getting a life sentence. You ass.
Sorry.
Yeah, big time.
So most of this came from a documentary, but one of the main people that was interviewed was the author of a book called His Garden, and her name is Anne Howard. And he pretty much confesses all kinds of crazy stuff to her. He tells her that he wouldn't have been able to stop if he hadn't been caught. So if you think about it, in 8 months, he killed 7 women. So literally one a day.
Yeah, it's
or one a day, one a month.
A good thing that he's off the street and not doing that to anybody else.
Right.
But, because it wasn't even just women. There was a man, too, or a woman, I guess.
Yeah, it's a woman.
It's a woman, yeah.
But he didn't know that at the time.
Yeah.
So he is known as Connecticut's most prolific serial killer. And is currently currently serving out his sentence in Cheshire Correctional Institute.
He doesn't deserve that title.
Cheshire?
Yeah,
Cheshire.
Cheshire.
Cheshire. Or Cheshire.
Worcestershire.
Or Cheshire.
So, on to my favorite segment that I can never say correctly. I'm going to give it a shot. I think I got it. True crime or doing time?
Yeah.
Did I get it?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Woo! I'm proud of myself.
I'm giving you $100 because you did that correctly.
Really?
That sounds like a lot of money.
That's what I'm thinking.
To give for a single sentence.
You got to put it back into the podcast.
That's a good reward.
I would probably put it back in the podcast. Maybe I will purchase merch with it.
Oh, we're going to have merch coming up. The camera's over there. We're going to have some merch coming up soon.
Very soon. Very excited.
Hold tight. It's going to look amazing.
All right. So here is the first story. I have to read these real quick and remember which one's real, which one's fake. Okay, here we go. So the first one. A 4th of July block party was set up in Asheville, North Carolina. The dads had created a giant slip and slide for the party, and one of the neighbors called the police to complain that the slip and slide was blocking the neighborhood. Or not the neighborhood, but blocking the road.
So they ran it out into the road?
Yeah, that's,
Ow!
Right.
Ow!
So, when officers Jones and Lee arrive to investigate the slip and slide, they decide to go for a ride on it. Officer Lee went down on a trash bag, and Officer Jones went down in an inflatable raft. Jones even splashed around in the little kiddie pool at the bottom. Needless to say, the police didn't shut down the slide.
That's something I would do.
All right, story number 2.
No, they shouldn't have. They should have done that, not shut it down. But they should have made it so only police could use it.
Just shut down the neighborhood. Just be like, all right, we're confiscating the slip and slide, and just call a bunch of their buddies.
Our use only.
All units, please respond.
All right. So, Lake Geneva police received a call about a erratic driver on South Lakeshore Drive. When officers Miller and Denham arrived at the location, they found their driver was a 5-year-old on his Power Wheels.
Hell yeah.
He was driving off the sidewalk and then onto the road and back again.
Drunk driver.
Yep, pretty much. Officer Miller turns.
Too much apple juice.
So, Officer.
Fermented.
You know, hang on. You guys are like predicting things. Stop it. Hang on.
No.
So Officer Miller turns on his lights to pull the boy over. And at first, he tries to outrun him at 5 miles an hour. But they pull up along next to him and ask him to pull over. Officer Denham asked him if he had anything to drink, which he replied, two juice boxes.
2 juice boxes.
2 juice boxes. Miller and Denham asked him where he lived and gave him a police escort home.
Aw.
I know. So which one is the true story and which one is the fake?
One of these is funny and one of them is wholesome.
I know. So which one's real, which one's fake?
I have a strong feeling. I'll let you guys go ahead first, though.
I'm just going to take the first one because I just want the picture of police officers water sliding at a freaking neighborhood picnic type deal. Barbecue.
Yeah, I want that to happen. I just want them to be doing that.
So,
and I hope that a 5-year-old isn't wandering the streets, drunk off applesauce juice boxes.
It was apple juice, not applesauce. Damn it.
Sorry, yes.
So you guys are saying that the first one is true, right?
Yes.
I want it to be true.
Are you saying it's true though?
I'll just go.
2 sounds more probable, but I'm guessing 1.
There's something that sticks out in that for me. And it's the way she said that, after the officer went down the slide, he even splashed into the water at the end. And that to me, he's got equipment and all that, unless he took it off. But he's got equipment and all of that, and he doesn't want to get anything wet. So if he's splashing around, he's going to get something wet. So I'm going to go with the second story is true because it's funny, and that's the only flaw out of that story that I see.
I wanted the police officer to go up to the kid and ask what's that one question whenever they think you are drunk driving?
Oh, could you touch your nose and walk the
all those
line
questions
and
I wanted him asked.
Yeah.
Sobriety test.
Yeah.
Just push
Give
him over.
him a sobriety test.
So I'm saying the second one. Second scenario is true.
Okay. So the true story is the slip and slide.
Yeah.
So the actual little kid one, there's a meme where a little kid is pulled over by officers in England on his little Power Wheels.
Gotcha.
But it's not. I don't think it's true at all. It was just I think it was just. I just made a story to go along with the meme.
I thought too hard on it.
Well, I mean, it kind of makes sense if you happen to have come across the meme on the internet. You would probably think it's a true story. So.
Right.
So there you go. Huh. That is the end.
That was an interesting one. I didn't really like your murder story.
No.
Kind of anticlimactic in the end.
I mean, it was very interesting, and I'm glad I know about it now. But I don't like that dude.
No,
I don't like
not
him
at all.
either.
He's not very likable.
No,
He's
I
not
don't
a very
like that
likable
dude.
I like how a deck of cards brought him down.
Yeah, that's
Right, and
That is pretty cool.
That's so smart, though.
I know.
So smart.
I wonder if Illinois does that. If they don't, they need to get on it. Illinois.
Yes.
Can
What
you,
are you thinking?
Can you petition the government?
I'll start my own little tiny position.
Yes.
Playing cards, please.
Makethecards.org.
Oh, great. Now you've probably caused us to have to start a webpage. Thanks a lot. You're no longer invited.
If they sell 100 shirts, they have to makethecards.org.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
No. Definitely not.
No, we're not doing that. So.
All right, guys. Thank you guys for watching this episode. If you haven't already, check out our Facebook at A Beer, a Crime, and Tale, where we post our new episodes and updates.
And make sure you check out our Instagram, where I also post updates and photos and stuff that actually I'm really terrible with Instagram. If you all just subscribe, I'd appreciate it.
Just go to the Facebook. It's a lot better.
Also, if you want to send us an email at abeercrimeandtale@gmail.com.
Last drink of the night.
I probably definitely need that.
And if you guys aren't watching this on YouTube, go on YouTube and watch it. It's A Beer, Crime, and Tale podcast on YouTube.
Oh.
We changed it a little bit, so you guys know it's a podcast.
That's true.
So, A Beer, Crime, and Tale podcast on YouTube. Go check it out, subscribe, and you'll get to see all the craziness that happens behind the scenes. And it's pretty enjoyable seeing us act like idiots. So,
really, it's just me, and you get to watch me talk with my hands and knock crap over. So it's
yeah, and we're not just saying we're drinking; you get to watch it yourself.
That's true.
But
the other thing is, make sure you download our episodes, because that helps us out, and subscribe and hit notification bells and rate and do all the fun jazz that goes along with it. I told you there's a lot of shit that goes along with this.
Thank you, Todd, for joining us.
Oh,
we
my
appreciate
pleasure.
it. You were awesome.
It was fun.
I'll have you fade out. So you want to say bye?
Bye.
We'll fade him out.
No idea, guys.